The sun-drenched park was a sanctuary of simple joys for Dr. Maya Carter and her two young sons: ice cream, laughter, and a wobbly football. But that sanctuary was shattered by the arrival of squad cars, summoned by a single, prejudiced phone call. To the officers, Maya was just another black woman to be intimidated, her children potential victims in a story they'd already written. Their questions were sharp, their tone a dare for her to stumble. They demanded IDs, invented accusations, and saw a vulnerable target. They never imagined they were profiling an FBI agent. When their harassment crossed the line into physical aggression, they discovered their fatal error. The woman they underestimated was a protector, a warrior, and a mother pushed to the brink. In a stunning display of controlled force, Maya didn't just defend herself. She exposed their corruption for the entire world to see. But the real fight was only beginning. The system would strike back, harder and dirtier than she ever imagined, threatening not just her career, but her freedom and the safety of her children. The afternoon sun was a benevolent gold, pouring its warmth over the suburban park. On a weathered wooden bench, Dr. Maya Carter watched her heart exist outside her body in the forms of her two sons. Jordan, 11 and fiercely observant, launched a football in a wobbly arc. "Mom, catch!" Maya made an exaggerated lunge, feigning a stumble that sent both boys into peals of laughter. "See?" Jordan crowed to his younger brother Caleb. "I told you she'd mess it up. Mom's too serious for football." "No way," Caleb, ever her defender, shook his head. "Mom's good at everything. She's just pretending." "Oh, am I? Maybe I should show you how it's really done." She scooped up the ball and threw a perfect, tight spiral that sailed effortlessly over Jordan's outstretched hands. "No fair," he laughed, scrambling after it. "You've been holding out on us." For a precious hour, the weight of her dual life, FBI Special Agent Dr. Maya Carter, slipped from her shoulders. There were no badges, no cases, no reports, just the sticky evidence of ice cream and the simple, profound music of her children's joy. But her trained eyes never fully rested. They noted the white couple 20 feet away at a picnic table, their own children playing nearby. The woman's gaze was a persistent, cold shadow, her lips pressed into a thin line of disapproval. I saw her lean to her husband, whispering words that made him frown in their direction. I saw her pull out her phone, holding it close, her voice a venomous murmur just loud enough to carry. "Suspicious woman, watching everyone. Those boys don't even look like they're hers." Jordan's pencil, sketching the scene in his ever-present notebook, froze mid-stroke. His shoulders tensed. Maya's heart cracked seeing the fear steal his light. "Hey," she said softly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We're having fun, remember?" The woman's voice grew more urgent. "Just doesn't look right. She's watching the other children too closely." The sound of tires on gravel was a death knell to the afternoon. A blue and white patrol car rolled into the parking lot with predatory slowness. The atmosphere shifted, the very air growing heavy. Maya's professional instincts cataloged everything. The officers' scanning patterns, their deliberate pace, the way their eyes locked onto her. Caleb ran to her side, his small face uncertain. "It's okay," she said, gathering both children close. They stood together on the sun-warmed grass, a united front against the looming intrusion. The officers, Bailey and his partner, approached with the practiced, swaggering gait of intimidation. "Good afternoon, ma'am." Bailey's voice was a professional chill. "We received a call about suspicious activity. Mind if we ask you a few questions?" "No suspicious activity here, officers. Just enjoying the park with my children." Bailey's eyes narrowed. "We have a report about a woman, possibly with kidnapped children. Protocol." He turned a saccharine smile to the boys. "Hey there, is this really your mom? Do you know her full name?" Jordan pressed closer, but his voice was strong. "Of course she's our mom. Her name is Dr. Maya Carter." "Dr. Carter," Caleb added proudly. "She helps catch bad guys." Bailey ignored him. "Ma'am, I need to see some ID." "Officers, these are my children. I'd like to know why we're being harassed." "No one's harassing anyone, just following up on a concerned citizen's report." He gestured vaguely toward the picnic table. "Actually," Bailey said, his eyes darting to her SUV, "that vehicle matches a description of one involved in recent thefts. I'll need to see your registration, too." The transparent lie was an insult. "Officer Bailey," she read his nameplate, "we both know that's not true. You're fishing and you're doing it in front of my children." "Ma'am, if you continue to be uncooperative—" "I haven't been uncooperative. I'm stating facts. You have no probable cause." The crowd that had gathered murmured in agreement. "This isn't right," someone said. Bailey's partner shifted left, a tactical move to control space. "Ma'am, last time. Produce your ID or we take this downtown." Maya knew the precipice they stood on. "Fine, my ID is in my bag. I'm reaching for it now." She moved her hand slowly, telegraphing her actions. But Bailey's hand shot out, his fingers digging into her wrist like a vice. Time seemed to fracture. Years of muscle memory and combat training overrode conscious thought. In one fluid motion, Maya twisted her arm, breaking his grip with brutal efficiency. Her stance widened, her center of gravity dropping as she swept her boys behind her. "Do not put your hands on me," she said. Her voice was no longer that of a pleading mother. It was the voice of a federal agent, cold steel and absolute authority. The change was so profound, Bailey stumbled back, his hand flying toward his weapon. The crowd gasped, a forest of phones rising to record the scene. "Back away from my children, now." Bailey's partner reached for his radio, but Maya's voice cut him off. "Before you make that call, you should know exactly who you're dealing with. You've both made several serious mistakes in the last 5 minutes, and I've documented every one." The officers exchanged a look of rage and humiliation. They lunged. What happened next was a blur of controlled violence. Bailey went for his taser. His partner charged. Maya moved like water. She sidestepped the charge, grabbed Bailey's wrist, and used his momentum to send him stumbling, twisting his arm up behind his back until the taser clattered to the ground. As the partner recovered and rushed again, she dropped low, sweeping his legs out from under him. He hit the ground with a grunt. "Stay back, boys," she commanded, her voice eerily calm. "Remember what we practiced, safe distance." Bailey scrambled up, face purple with rage, and reached for his gun. Maya was on him before his fingers touched the grip, her elbow striking his solar plexus, driving the air from his lungs. As he doubled over, she grabbed his arm and executed a perfect hip throw, sending him crashing onto his back. The partner, back on his feet, swung his baton. Maya blocked with her forearm, trapped the weapon, twisted it free, and tossed it aside. "Stand down. You're making this worse." He threw a wild punch. She slipped it, countered with a sharp jab to his throat, and swept his back knee, bringing him down hard. Bailey tried to rise, but Maya was already on him, landing 3 rapid strikes to his ribs before locking him in an arm bar, pinning him face down in the grass. Her foot pressed firmly on his partner's back, immobilizing them both. The park erupted in cheers and stunned cries. The wail of additional sirens announced the arrival of backup. 3 more cruisers skidded to a halt, officers pouring out, weapons drawn. "Release them!" one shouted. "I'm going to reach for my credentials," Maya announced, her voice clear and projected. "I am releasing these officers slowly, and then I will show you who I am." She gradually released her holds, letting the humiliated officers scramble away. With deliberate slowness, she reached into her back pocket and withdrew her FBI badge and ID, holding it high above her head. The federal shield gleamed in the sun.
I am Special Agent Dr. Maya Carter, Federal Bureau of Investigation, and these officers just committed multiple violations of federal law while assaulting a federal agent in front of witnesses. A stunned silence fell, broken only by the relentless clicking of phone cameras. The backup officers lowered their weapons, their confusion palpable. The horror dawning on Bailey's face was a victory in itself. But the victory was short-lived. The arrival of Captain Richard Harlan, a man known for circling wagons, signaled a shift. He ignored the videos, the badge, the truth. He listened only to his officer's fabricated story of an unprovoked attack. The system was closing ranks. That night, after reassuring her terrified sons, the real fight began. With the help of a tenacious civil rights lawyer, Angela Washington, Maya began to dig, and what she found was a festering wound of corruption. Bailey and his partner had a history of brutality complaints, all mysteriously buried. The union had a pattern of paying off victims and silencing whistleblowers. She organized her evidence, gave interviews, and watched as public support swelled. Hashtags like Justice for Maya trended. The community rallied behind her, but the system fought back with a viciousness she anticipated but still dreaded. They launched a smear campaign, painting her as unstable and aggressive. Then the final blow came in a late-night ambush outside her home. 3 masked men with law enforcement training attacked her in her driveway. She fought them off with every ounce of her skill, but it was a setup. As the men vanished into the night, patrol cars arrived with improbable speed. Not to help her, but to serve her with suspension papers from the FBI. Her badge was confiscated, her career ripped away, all based on the department's lies. Bruised and betrayed, Maya stood in her kitchen the next morning, watching the distorted news reports. Her sons looked at her with fear in their eyes. "Are they going to arrest you?" It was her darkest hour. But as she looked at their faces, a fierce resolve hardened within her. They had tried to break her, but they had only forged her into something sharper. She made calls to her lawyer, to journalists, to community leaders. "Meet me," she told them. "It's time to show them everything." The community forum was packed. Union President Howard Malone was at the podium spinning his lies. "These allegations are fake news. Our officers acted appropriately." Maya stood from the front row, a thick folder in her hand. "That's a lie, and I can prove it." She walked into the aisle, her voice ablaze, and she began reading dates, names, amounts paid in hush money, bank records, internal memos, witness statements. As Malone called security, the back doors burst open. The same 3 masked men from her driveway charged the stage. This time she was ready, and this time the whole world was watching. What followed was not a brawl, but a brutal public dismantling. She disarmed the first, used his taser on the second, and disabled the third with precise, efficient strikes, all while the crowd chanted her name and phones recorded every second. The fallout was immediate and seismic. The videos went supernova. Headlines blared, "FBI agent exposes corruption." The police chief resigned. The mayor announced a federal investigation. Bailey, his partner, and eventually Union President Malone himself were led away in handcuffs. A week later, her FBI supervisor called, offering full reinstatement with apologies. Maya stood on her back porch, watching Jordan and Caleb play safely in the yard. Through the window, she saw the group of mothers still gathered at her fence, holding candles and sharing their own stories of fear and hope. "Sir," she replied, her voice firm, "I appreciate the offer, but this was never about a badge. It's about my boys and mothers like me. They need someone to help them fight back. The badge was never what gave me power. It was knowing right from wrong." She ended the call. The fight had cost her her job, but it had given her greater mission. The following afternoon, she returned to Henderson Park. The same sun shone, the same ice cream cart was there. Mr. Rodriguez refused her payment. "You showed my granddaughter's courage," he said. As Jordan and Caleb ran off to play football with a group of newfound friends, their laughter unburdened and free, Maya sat on a bench. A police car rolled past the entrance. Her sons didn't even flinch. They were too busy chasing fireflies in the gathering dusk, their faces lit with joy under the emerging stars. A mother nearby nodded to her, a silent understanding passing between them. Maya leaned back, watching her children reclaim their innocence. They had taken everything from her, except the only thing that truly mattered: her courage, her truth, and her right to protect her own.